Hello everybody, my name is Zara Starfield, and welcome back to Rixo on a Vanzig planet. This time, we're on episode 3, part 2. It's been a long time since I made one of these videos, and I made a lot of changes to the map, as you can already see, with the amount of lakes having basically tripled. So I hope you enjoy the new map. I haven't really rewatched the series in a long time, so I might forget a lot of things. And if I do, I'm sorry. But yeah, let's get straight into it. So yeah, we're gonna start off here in Zoo, where we have what is hello? Hello everybody, my name is Markiplier, and welcome back to episode 3 part 2 of Markiplier. What are you doing? Wait, no, you're not Markiplier. You're basically a rip-off of Markiplier. What are you doing here? And he's leaving my house. Good. Never come back. I apologize. Anyhow, we're going to see Zoo start expanding, being, number 2 strongest and all. They're gonna be able to take over this area and go, expand into this region with plenty of mountains, which is pretty defensible. They also get over here and take these 3 lakes, like so. And then we have Bonito and Waisalu joining in with them to take a bit of this territory. Anyhow, the real bulk of zoo expansion will be over here in the east, where we see them spike over towards this major city, and expand along this river, and eventually taking over both of these major cities. And yeah, now Zoo looks pretty big, but this isn't the end of their expansion, as we see them basically divide up this area with all of their neighbors. Now obviously Zoo gets the biggest piece, but Flinonia is actually going to get a sizable chunk of land here, as they take all the land up to this river and around this lake. And yeah, then Vortacross comes in and takes this area, and then this small unclaimed region is left to be divided up between Vortis and Flinonia. Now, if you may remember, in the last video, we saw the formation of Vortacross's alliance, featuring Flinonia themselves and Namiandu. But we're actually going to see another country form an alliance. And that is Waisalu, who, that's a big outline, who forms the Square Alliance. Right off the bat, they have 2 nations join them. Yizuni, because they helped them during their war against Aranisu, so obviously the 2 of them are gonna have positive relations. And of course, Wuyan, because these 2 are really friendly. And that's about it. However, there have been talks of adding Zoo of all nations to the alliance, but Waisalu doesn't really feel the need to do that. So for now, they won't really care. They won't really add them to the alliance. Anyhow, going down here to Yumpria, they will also continue to expand. Okay, that's too small of a brush size. As they expand over to this major city and over to this basin, sort of, I don't know, but this area with river, essentially. Anyhow, they expand and take all of this land over, and they end up looking pretty thick. Now, Prilia has a border with Vortacross, and as you may know, Yumpria was formed out of Vortacrossian people who didn't want to be part of the government. We can see that in ideologies, where Vortacross is a lot more left-leaning, Meanwhile, Yompria is part of Waisalu's, ideology, which is sort of a lot more liberal, basically. So this is gonna create some tensions, but it's not that bad. There most likely won't be a war over this. However, we do have Perlia continuing to fill in this area. And then Watercross steps in and takes this little area. Speaking of Watercross, they're actually going to be expanding down south a lot. All the way down here, and they even take this island. And then they set up a small overseas territory in this region. So yeah, we have Watercross looking something like this. We're also going to see Epertania expand in this region as they take over this area and continue their push southwards to go and settle in Epertania. Wait, no, Epertia, yeah. Oh, my bad. Now shifting our focus over here to the new guy. Now, this country, as I said, was a horde? Was it? I kind of forgot. Nomadic? Yeah, nomadic. And we're basically going to see them expand across this area over in this river in order to reach this major city. Now, after that is done, they're going to basically pursue a policy of mass expansion in this region. As you can see, they expand a ton, taking all of this land. But then we actually have them giving independence over to a country, and that country will be over here in the current capital. This is mainly because this country has already shifted their capital over to another city, which is over here, right in the center, sort of the country. Shifting our focus up north once more, we actually see Cynthia begin to expand down here around this new lake and over here towards these two major cities. So yeah, at the end of their little expansion, we have Cynthia looking something like this. Now, finally, shifting our focus from all of this and all of this expansion, we're actually going over to Rasuni, and instead of expanding, they're going to be invading another country. And the country they're going to be invading is obviously Epertania. They make a push down south along the coasts and basically make a push towards the capital. Basically, they know that these guys, will be giving up this territory one way or another once they settle in Epertania. Okay, let me get this straight. Epertania is the country. Epertia is this whole region right here. Mainly this region, encompassing Magintia. At least this little bit of it down south. Anyhow, Magintia, okay, not Magintia, I mean, Rusuni basically continues their little push in this region, as not too long ago they used to control it, only 2 episodes ago. So Epertania will actually sit down and, agree to give Rusuni these lands. And yeah, let's take a look at the peace treaty, basically. So this is what we see in the peace treaty. Rusuni will obviously be taking a big chunk of North Epertania, but they will also be taking this chunk of unclaimed land. And we see Epertania basically move their capital over here. Pretty close to the Magintian border, but they aren't too threatened right now, so it doesn't really matter, right? Okay, now back up to the Bay of Vanzig. We are going to be seeing something happening in Arsinu. Now, as you can see, they're surrounded by pro-Waisalu nations, and obviously they aren't a big fan Waisalu or these two nations. This one rebelled against them, and they literally had a war with this one not too long ago. So they're actually going to be going over to Rasuni, and they're going to propose a deal to basically carve up this region over here. And when they go to Rasuni, they basically give them this. Now at first Rasuni's like, what is this? And then the Arunisu officials basically explain, hey, this is our idea for the future of the world. We get all these areas in yellow, and you get all these areas in pink. We divide up this country, we defeat Waisalu, you officially become stronger than Waisalu. And upon hearing that, Rasuni and Ursinu instantly send a lines. Now, of course, they don't look anywhere near like that. Ursinu, as you can see, is very tiny. And even Rasuni, they aren't that big, but together they might actually be able to put that plan into fruition. Furthermore, Rasuni will be adding their ally of Faunito into the alliance. And, well, oh boy, this is a whole melting pot of alliances now. Anyway, we will actually see these two begin expanding a bit according to the treaty. You know, how are you going to defeat Waisalu if you don't try and expand like Waisalu is expanding? So Rasuni starts expanding out here this way, and especially along the border of Kizuni, and they end up looking something like this. Furthermore, Arusinu will continue to expand, more specifically along this river, as they actually get pretty big. Now to counter that, Waisalu will basically order their ally over here to expand, and they will do so, and they'll get quite a bit bigger, and Waisalu will also be expanding. Yeah, this it's just a lot of expanding this episode. I'm kind of sorry, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. Now, for the final event of this video, we're actually going to be having a war start. More specifically, Sue will be invading Cynthia? Yeah, for some reason, Sue deems it acceptable to invade Cynthia, despite them in the last video not wanting to do so. So they will continue, they will basically advance into Cynthia, taking over this area with ease, as, you know, the military has likely had a couple of years to rest. I'd say like, I don't know, 20 or so years. However, Zoo is actually stopped over here along this area, and then we actually have Cilia pushing them back. Now, you may be wondering, why is number 2 country losing to someone who probably isn't even in the top 10? Well, it's actually because this area right here, they actually want to join up with Cynthia, and because of that, we actually see plenty of Scythian rebellions happening here. One over here in this major city, and another one all the way up here. This quickly leads to Zoo retreating all of their forces out of Cynthia, and Cynthia then continues to basically take this whole area. Now, Zoo isn't just standing by and doing nothing. Obviously, they are invading this rebellion and making a somewhat large push into this one, as well as beating back Cynthia over here in the south. Now, Cynthia will have actually a pretty good counteroffensive, where they will actually make an encirclement of troops here along the coast, yes, the coast. And all these troops will basically surrender and flee to these islands over here. So yeah, soon seeing the tide of war kind of turn against him, will actually choose to just peace out. Mainly because Senlia agrees to some, favorable peace terms for Zhu. So yeah, let's take a look at this peace treaty. Anyhow, in the peace treaty, Senlia will just be taking this whole area. However, they will force Zhu to sign a peace treaty that basically says everything past this river cannot be claimed by them. Basically everything past this river, as you can see. Now, Zhu's original plan was to, from this area, expand over here, all over this area, then have all these mountains, and by then it would have been like a super gigantic, a huge country. But this is actually going to put a stop to that. Now, Zhu doesn't really realize this because they can, they can still take over this area and this area. So, for them it seems, it's not that big of a deal, to them at least. But for Senlia, this is huge, because that means they don't have to worry about Zhu expanding in this area. They don't have to worry about these guys down south. So yeah, they will be taking this area, and they will also be taking this area. And with me now zooming out on the world map, that means that the episode has officially ended. Thank you for watching, and see you next video. Okay, everyone is gone now. Rip off, Markiplier, what were you doing in my house?